Let's get into GW's most recent erratas / FAQs. It's not exactly an FAQ since they didn't directly answer questions, but instead updated some data sheet questions we had by adding keywords and being clear about some wording, but not actually directly adding questions. We'll also be discussing how our Greensons did competitively on the competitive scene and our thoughts into some new entries into the ranks of the relevant data sheets and some repeat appearances that we've seen from the most popular data sheets in our index. So hello everybody. David. Whoa. Any chats? And if we want to say hello to anybody first?
Yeah, we got Brandon in the chat giving us wall.
I'll be Mick.
Austin Hatfield, another wall.
Whoa.
Battle G nerd.
Let's go.
Whoa.
Whoa. Sorry guys, we're doing what?
Daggers in here as well.
Oh, this Dagger's bringing it back. Very active. The Dagger, I've been seeing you talk about your tournaments. Don't worry about that. That's more of a Friday topic conversation, though. But don't worry, I've seen you, man. I've not forgotten you.
Dave Landry with wall.
Wall? What do you mean wall? There's no, what are you, a grot? There's no wall question marks. Whoa. All right. All right, guys. And maybe some of you might have heard some of these thoughts and remarks before, but the point is you come here for a summary and it's all about the orcs. You don't got to hear about the scrawnies too much specifically or any of these other gits. We're talking about orcs and maybe some matchups that do apply to them. But we're here. But that being said, let's move in. So some of the changes that are relevant to the orcs. So right away, guys, something that we know that was bound to happen was gas cannot go in trucks. Obviously, he also can't go in Gorkanauts. I guess they felt the need to make that clear. Cannot go in the Gorkanauts. But Stampa's free game, huh? Hopefully. We all seen that coming though, right? We all know that. Oh, don't care. Next thing that came up though, which I must say I was guilty of doing this. Grots are not T5 in melee in combat. They changed the wording to each time each time an attack targets this unit, make them toughness 2. So they changed that wording, so it's not just range. They wanted to make it clear right there. We had hoped that the fluff kind of behind it to the orcs come forward when the fight comes to them, right? We've heard many times in lore where when the melee potential comes in, the orc runs to the front line and kind of steps over the grot or on the grot because he's in the way. He's so eager to get the combat. We thought maybe the fluff behind that might hold up, but it didn't. We didn't feel like it was abusive either. It gave Wartsnaga some play. He was kind of popping up competitively in friendly games. Everybody was like, ooh, do I want to put him in the truck? Now it seems like people are kind of saying rip to the Wartsnaga bomb, right?
I thought it was going to last a little longer. I didn't see it really being abused out in the competitive meta.
But yeah, I would say, some people are like, yeah, we thought so. All right, whatever, man. You sound like a grot. No, I'm just kidding. And we all have our opinion. That's how it works, you guys. It's okay. It's not like anybody was doing out of malicious intent, right? We're just not trying to enjoy the game. So if somebody did it, forgive yourself. If someone did it and you were right, kudos to you. You had your thinking grahan, right? You knew that in your head. So the next thing that came up is the Wartrike boss on bike and the Death Killer Wartrike now do have the character keyword, meaning they can be the leaders of your WAAAGH. They can be the individual character leaders that you need. So just, some people assume that, but now we have it clear. Don't worry about it. You want to run your speed WAAAGH, guilt-free. There you go. Get up in there, yeah? Which, speed WAAAGH are looking like they want to make it come in, but they still haven't found their footing yet. Not against that at all. Next thing is, so the mob rule strat, right? So you guys know that there is a mob rule strat. It didn't make sense before. And now it says, if David, you want to read it?
Yeah, now it's until the start of your next command phase, while a friendly Orcs infantry unit is within 6 inches of that mob unit, that Orc infantry unit can still be selected as a target of stratagems, even if it is battle shock. Yeah,
so now it's at the start until your next command phase. That's kind of what was the point before. We were like, what? Also, it's still kind of very niche, right? You're picking a unit within 6 inches of this unit that's being targeted that you want to put strats on to, as well as it's limited to orc infantry, right? So it's not like you can just pick a key unit, maybe like some Killicans or something. You were like, I need you guys to not get battle shocked right now for some reason, right? Maybe you want to keep their OC or whatever and pick more strats. Like maybe a reroll. This happened to me. What? Your strat was off? Oh, but the point is that you can use strats on people when you need them. It is limited to infantry, which are some infantry you want them to be, right? I mean, you want to do exploding fives and you go, hey, here we go, I can do it. Still very niche though, because you have to be within a unit that's pretty healthy. And you know, orc units that are pretty healthy are not always common, considering people will take some hits on you on Overwatch and try to bring you down and hurt you beforehand. So it's all very niche. But at least they gave us an attempt to use it now, right? So that's really cool. At least they tried and they thought about us in that way. So not mad about that at all. Mega Knobs gained the keyword that was necessary. And then as you can see, some of these other abilities, like certain weapons, clarifications for keyword, we're not going to go over all that. We just want to talk about that was clear for us. Some people that are still deliberating about, hey, they didn't clear up about the battle wagon, right? With gas, they didn't say, hey, can I bring gas and 2 Mega Knobs in my battle wagon? So I'm not clear about that. People are saying, because Makari is a model and gas is a model, then you know it says it's 18 for gas. It's talking about gas and Makari, and it's 19. Then you can't bring Mega Knobs. So people are still deliberating this. This is why I said it's not necessarily an FAQ, because they didn't care to answer the questions. They were more like adding words and cleaning up maybe misspelling and stuff, right? So some grammar and punctuation, they wanted to be clear on that. And that's all good. We like that. If they're coming out really fast, I appreciate it. So thank you anyways, and gives us more stuff to talk about. I don't even mind at all. So let's talk more. Let's chat. Right? And so is anything in chat we want to say about? We can.
WAAAGH saying hello.
Oh, whoa! I see you up in there, WAAAGH, right? So that's be talking about you, my friend. I like that.
And we got
that's me
Moore in the chat as well.
Hello. Yo.
And then Cal2931 is asking, what did they do to my grunt?
What they do me grunt? Yeah, they did something to our super grunt, our super runts, right? They didn't like that much. They were looking too super. People didn't like that. But it is what it is. It is what it is. Some people are like feeling justified. I'm just like, whatever. It was fun. It was cool. Got people off guard a little bit, but it wasn't like a horrible feel bad, unless maybe you were Tao. And then you can never punch these grouts off you, I guess. So from there, we're gonna bounce into we're going to talk about other factions, but the ones that I figured were most relevant to orcs, as in we like seeing this change to enemies that were either hard matchups for us or that are common matchups for us, as in when we look over the data, we have a lot of games into them, right? So a couple of the changes will be one, the GSC. I don't know if they would be able to find that, but I'll just sum that up. That GSC has to, you found it right there. Yep. If you want to read it or just summarize it and send you to be holy.
Where is it? Which one was it?
It's for the ambush.
Right here.
Yeah.
So Colt ambush, set up that unit on the battlefield more than 9 inches horizontally from all enemy models, and with at least one model unit touching that Colt ambush marker, and all other models placed wholly within 3 inches of the Colt ambush marker.
So we all like to see a little bit of a nerf to our Gene Stealer opponents. They were used to Congo line right out of the objective because you weren't clear about being holy. Now they have to worry about being cornered and where they have to end up on the battlefield. They have to make sense where they're coming in. Their units can't be as messy. So it's just a direct nerf to them that just helps a little bit with us in their matchup into them. Wanted to bring that up.
Yeah, it's much needed. Gene Solar Colts right now are very abusive.
And
looking at like a 70% win rate, which you don't want to see in any meta.
And I know some people are like, they need more. You know, I can agree with you, but I'm actually okay with GW kind of taking their time and dismantling these really competitive armies instead of just straight taking a hacking to them and just making everybody feel bad and throwing the meta on its head, right? Because if you just slash away at the S tier like that, all of a sudden the A tier might be overlooked. And it seems like GW's taking their chance to kind of check everybody on the way down with what they feel needs to be immediately changed, right? The next thing is Eldar speaking out things that need to be immediate change. The scrawnies. So the scrawnies have been abusing everybody, not necessarily abusing the orcs, as we do kind of well into them overall in the casual play. Competitively, though, they're taking over the meta. You know, they're destroying people, and they have genuine reasons for that. But one of the ways they did take a nerf, out of the two ways that I'm going to mention, is one, the Wraith Guard lost their pistols. So what used to be able to happen is when, if you want to read it, David, if you're going to bring it to them.
They have a very long section.
Oh, okay. So, okay, never mind. Yeah. So, one, we'll talk about that in a second. The other one is the Spirit Seer now just brings back one Wraith Guard instead of two. So it used to be they could bring back 2 models each time they were regenerating. Now it's limited. They don't have as many of that, which is nice. You can kill this unit more often. Usually this is a problematic unit for orcs. Well, everybody as a whole, but orcs really don't like this unit being one of the only slightly durable Eldar units that there are around, because all the other ones we can kind of just beat the crap out of with even with Beast Snagger boys, right? So it's kind of funny. These guys were a problem. So I don't know if you found it. Oh, we can just go over it then. So whenever they were engaged with the Eldar Wraith unit, they could automatically shoot when they were brought into engagements, and so they would intentionally charge people. And when they would charge you, then they would immediately be able to shoot you again. They would give them the ability to shoot twice, pretty much in a turn. So this makes it so they don't have pistols. They can't shoot when you. They can't induce you shooting them by just fighting you and charging you. Before that's how they kind of used to get it in there. They would shoot you, then they would charge you so that you punch them, and then they would shoot you again. Can't do that anymore. Boom, that's very nice. The next thing is barb gaunts. Barb gaunts cannot target more than one enemy infantry unit with this ability anymore. The -2 to move and -2 to charges, right? So people used to be like, I'm gonna use each one to target a different unit. Very nice for orcs. We used to hate that. I know Beast Snagger boys could ignore our Squighog boys aren't infantry and they already have abilities to ignore that. But for our infantry boys units, once they get out of the trucks, last thing you want is when you're running all these MSU boy units is for one barb gun unit to start picking at them and making them all a bunch slower, right? So the one that they tried to hit us with, we can actually counter with the strat now and not worry about them spreading it all over our infantry units, right? So that one's just a quick one we can touch on. The knights, yeah, the knights. David, did you want to, or you want to keep going?
Yeah, so knights got another nerf. It's definitely gonna help out the orcs here. Do you want me to go over the real one, or just
just what you can? If you're
right. So they're was it a enhancement or? Well, they can no longer reroll the whole hit roll and wound roll for the ability that they had. I'll just pull it up here in a second. But that's huge, obviously, right? Rerolling all those shots. We know Imperial Knights are known for having volume. And
it was right here.
There's a stratagem. So each time this model is selected shoot or fight, reroll a single hit roll of 1 and a single wound roll of 1.
Yeah, it was an oath ability. Yeah, there used to be people would reroll all the ones of the hit roll and the wound. Now it's just single. There you go. They're slightly less killy to that effect.
And the other one, which is the stratagem, is Squire's Duty. Until the end of the phase, when resolving attacks that targets an enemy unit, improve the strength and AP by armigers by 1, and if honored, increase the damage by 1. So now they specify that it's only for the enemy unit that is targeted. It's no longer all your guns for anything that you shoot, which people were using.
Yeah, for sure. The next ability is for Necrons. We're going to discuss Necrons. Crypto Thralls now do not allow the Necron unit that they are attached to fight in deaths. The one we specifically care about were the Lich Guard. Okay, there's still way other durability problems that Necrons kind of have, but the whole point is we've seen in some competitive play that orcs can beat them if you bring the right tools. On the casual play, though, we've seen people do run into problems with them because they're so passively durable. And maybe you bring a killy unit that's kind of army that's kind of elite as an orc player, and you run into Necrons and you can't punch them out. Then you're kind of just sitting there like, now you still have a lot of points left as you're going to fully regen. So the Crypto Thralls are still very annoying, but don't have to worry about that free almost trade that the Necrons are now getting from fighting in death and then regenning with those same Lich Guard that would naturally be dying. So there you go. That's actually nice. Helps orcs in that matchup a bit. Now, something that I wanted to talk about with the Catan, right? So the Transcendent Catan is already a very powerful model in the game. You can have damage as a 4-up invuln. You can give it a 4-up feel no pain. But now it's adopted the reanimation keyword, so it can also heal. So that's something you want to keep an eye out for. There hasn't been too many like buffs that we've noticed that maybe are going to bother to orcs too much. We've seen some things here and there, with Space Marines or with World Eaters with some of their capabilities only being limited. But we're talking about just really what orcs are kind of dealing with right now, and that's what we're more focused on as a whole.
Yeah, I would worry people using the Transcendent as distraction Carnifex, playing it more aggressively now that it does have that reanimation protocol keyword.
Yeah, and the Silent King also, his miniers don't blow up and destroy you anymore like they used to necessarily. They still spawn, though, and they still come back, which is pretty awesome. So, pretty awesome for them, not for us. Right? So then, also, Yeah, we can bring the list now. No, we can probably bring. So, guys, what we're gonna talk. That's the FAQs. Sorry, we almost got stood in the water there. So, those are kind of the thoughts, real quick, over on some of the FAQs that we noticed that really apply more towards orcs. We wanted to hit the orc ones right away. If you have any questions about the weapons, you can directly go look. If you were confused, maybe like if you didn't know big shooters are 36 inches. Now they've cleared that up. But we assume we wanted to point out the ones that were more relevant to our day-to-day play, right? But from here, we're going to move on to talk about a couple meta tournament lists. Like we said, we're not going to go too hard and dive into it because it wasn't too active of a weekend or a super successful weekend for the orcs. But we are going to cover a couple GTs and then a couple RTTs of some people that did very successful at the RTT level with some interesting lists I want to show you. But first, we'll hit. Oh, okay. What's going on?
So we do have JM Compt. He's excited about the Death Killers now. Clearly gain access to enhancements.
Yep. Yeah, they know why that is good, and I like it on the War Boss, right? Because I know a lot of people have the War Drag, but with me thinking about how I've been wanting to use the War Boss recently, as I like to do the knobs with the War Boss, I added them to my list when I played last game. That's what I like to see too, because sometimes I have that points left over, and I'm like, do I want to put a Feel No Pain or a fallback on him? So it makes it better for us. A lot of people have speed wall armies. I'm with you. I have a lot of speed units. I have buggies. I have a lot of bikes, over 20. So I feel you on that. I'm enjoying that too. But the first thing we're going to talk about is just overall, let's take a quick peek at the GT, what was kind of happened with Orks. I know a lot of people are already aware of the Lone Star Open, possibly, if you care at all about metas. As you can see, it's Eldar, Gene Stealers, and then Gene Stealers again, and then Imperial Knights, and then Gene Stealers, and then Knights, right? So these are lists that armies we kind of talk about here in the meta, like talking about the Imperial Knights, and then as you can see, World Eaters kind of snuck in there as well, which is something we covered before, and we showed that Orks do have some kind of hard games into them sometimes. So it's interesting to see them kind of make an appearance as well, so highly up the list.
Chaos Knight showing up a few times here too.
Yeah. So, and what you don't see though, guys, is the Orks, right? So Orks ended up going, I think the highest Orc player here ended up in 82nd, 82 in this specific GT. This GT was double the Palms. What was the other Palm Springs Open GT? So this was about 214 players. So the highest Orc player here ended up at 82. So we're not talking bad about him. He still did pretty good. I mean, he's a good player too. He's from Vanguard Tactics. Definitely not dismissing him. We're just saying this is where Orks ended up once you took it right now, where the meta's kind of developing, right? We've seen Orks early on. They were placing really high. And as time is passing, we've kind of been slowly being knocked here and there around in the GTs, right? So we're not going to look at his list. It's okay. He has like a typical kind of Orc list with a lot of trucks and stuff like that. So what we know is common right now is Orks, trucks, Squig Hog boys, jetpack guys, various characters, right? And he had that, and that's where he kind of ended up. That's why we kind of wanted to point that out. Someone we wanted to discuss was one of our fellows. I wanted to get his name correctly because okay, Tyler Russo from where's him? If you can pull him up, I wanted to read his. Sorry, guys. So he is. This guy has his own successful channel. Where is he? Tyler Russo, the $1 billion Clown Farm, right? So this guy has his own channel. He plays competitively, and right now he's playing Orks a bit. So he did very well. Awesome. Whoa, you get a wall for you, Tyler. That was pretty dope. Good job getting 31st out of, I think this was how many people? 111. So great job there. And he played the kind of list that a lot of people have been playing with, running a lot of trucks, boys, Squig Hog boys, right? If you want to pull up his list real quick, just because I want to miss anything, we were discussing him. But and then he brought what Wiley was been calling the scalpel unit. And then he gave us some feedback on how he felt about the scalpel unit being important for him to kind of kill things when he needed to kill them, even though he did feel like they were quite expensive, right? He actually does like Mazrog. If you go more up, I think he had Mazrog on his list.
I was confused by his name.
This guy's funny. Like, you can see he really likes Orks, even though he's very competitive as a player, because he's funny. And with how if you go up to him, I'm trying to look at his characters. What do you have? Maz. So yeah, he did have Mazrog. Mazrog's great for distracting the enemies and kind of just being there when you need him to be there. But the point was, some of the things that he discussed about the meta being hard for Orks, that the problems he had with when he did go MSU, he was getting kind of annihilated, which is something we brought up when we said how come Knights become an issue, where we've seen these lists appear where they're going MSU, and then they play against Knights, and Knights are like, I just annihilate you because you don't have tools for me. Which is something he said. He's like, you just have to kind of accept the fact that you don't have tools. So these are reinforcing our ideas. I think, yeah, this is like a baseline of a successful list. If you go to like an RTT level, as we've seen a couple times, at a GT level. We've seen this very similar list, right, David? I mean, it's not like we're clowning him at all. He did really well for a list that we've seen, been doing very well too. So good job. We're just
hard to clown the clown.
yeah, exactly. Can't clown the clown. That but what we're saying is this is a list that solid, but this is what people are expecting now from Orks when they think about Orks. They think about us with trucks. They think about us taking over the board. They think about our jetpack boys. They think about our characters, Mazrog or a beast boss, and our squigs being so durable. So he kind of reinforced the idea with that, and then he also brought up the fact that he wants to change his idea in the meta, which is, and I mean, his idea of what the meta is for Orks, which is, I think, the smart way to go. As people do kind of come up with weapons to kill your squig hog boys kind of reliably. Your knobs, like he said, once they do run out of the wall, they do die, kind of fall over quite easily. And then you can see he didn't bring Gaz, or, you know, because if you do bring one of those stat, like what I like to call it, like a stat check army, right? You kind of are tempting your opponent to, did you bring killy enough stuff to deal with me? And with people kind of being so killy now, they do have a chance at doing that. And this is on the other side of the spectrum. As you can see, these are the spectrums that Orks are kind of running to right now. They're running to the masked MSU, or they're going to the beast snagu kind of early, right? So this, great job here, guys. But what I wanted to go from here is, let's move to kind of like more of a positive note, because even though this isn't necessarily negative, this is what everybody was already expecting. This is what we see. Let's move on to something that I thought was a little bit more fun, and to give us, as people who are more, let's say, more casual, or maybe we play RTTs, more of an experience directly rated to maybe what we might be experienced, right? Because not a lot of people end up going to these massive GTs. A lot of us play, right, our local tournaments, the RTTs we have access to. We play at our local metas. And we limit it to the models that we want to use, and we don't want to chase things. Some people don't want to just start putting together 6 trucks thinking that's the way to go. It's not the only way to go, right? And Randy had a pretty fun list right here, David. So if you want to pull up his list, and then we'll pull up his matchups.
All right, so his list had Beast Boss on Squigosaur with Head Wappa Kill Choppa, Mazrog, 2 knobs on Smash the Squigs, a War Boss, 1 truck, 10-man knob unit
for the truck.
And this is the unique part: 3 squig buggies.
3 rocket truck squig buggies, guys. I know people are like, do I want 1? Do I want 2? He said, no less than 3. Okay, keep going.
Yeah, it's a good shooting supplement for this list.
We'll discuss that.
Then he's got 3 6-man squig hog boy units, and then rounding out with 2 units of 5-man storm boys.
So we've seen squig hog units and squig hog related armies have just been doing successful as a whole, as the squig hog data sheet rider, squig hog boy rider data sheet is literally one of the best in our index as a whole. How well rounded it is, the problematics, the problem solving it has. But what makes this guy unique, right, is most people will supplement these squig hog boys with trucks and more beast snaga boys, right? He decided, you know, I want some shooting, and I can see why, as we've seen this as like a repetitive kind of idea in some successful orc players' head, is they want a bit of shooting. Now, in my games, have I've been seeing is, why do you want some shooting, especially if you can kind of fit in some damage to shooting? Well, there are specifically some, let's say, neurothropes, right? They're the brain bugs, as you would call in the Tyrannid army, right? Or we'll call some devastated, some Marines that have having a brain fart right now, Dev Marines, right? Where the Devastator Marines, right? Where there's these units that if you have absolutely no shooting at all, they'll line you up in your lanes where you have your squig hog boys or you have your most reliable killy units, and they'll just sit in that lane and disrespect you and just be like, dude, you're not, I'm just going to sit here and wait for you to start playing, and then I'm going to murder you.
Those dev units are dangerous when they are stationary. They ignore cover ability. Space Wolves get reroll hit rolls of 1, so yeah, you don't want them standing there all game and just laying down firepower,
just disrespecting you. And when that does happen to you, now there are games where people will tank it, right? Or you have maybe like really durable units where you're like, hey, my mega knobs want to try this, and you don't have the firearms, right? But I'm telling specifically when you're playing, it seems like competitively what people are bringing up, and I've noticed too, is 1, you don't want these screens to just run up whenever they want, ready to screen whatever they want when you want to charge them with your big bricks. And then 2, if there's these shooting line, gun line things, like those brain bugs, for example, they're kind of easy to kill if you have any kind of shooting at all, right? Or even Space Marines, if you can just get a couple of these 2 damage shots in, stop popping off some of these, what they consider reliable gun line units, when you do stand out in the open and they're reduced by a couple models, that will make you more durable in that sense. Not only that, but the enemy now has to think, oh, or you can play, I can throw this little buggy forward, I'll stand an objective, throw it away. It's really not expensive. Well, 110 points is give or take expensive, but when we're talking about, it's not expensive to throw away and charge bait people into trying to kill this thing to get mortal wounds while you countercharge it or play the rest of the field. It's a big base. It has its own utility in that sense as well. So I can imagine they're using that instead of all the trucks for taking up the field. But the guns are what can be deemed as becoming more and more important as we're watching into this meta. People are bringing flash gets. I think that's another one, right? We're talking about, is that one possibly? So yeah, so there's another list that we're talking about that has decent. So I know people are doing fine with your MSU trucks. Excellent job, you guys. People are using beast snagger boys. Maybe they're using kill rigs. Maybe they're just overloading on trucks and beast snagger boys. The guys are doing a great job too. That is still viable. I'm just talking about, hey guys, when you have your buggies and you're questioning, do I want to throw my buggies on this list? Do they have a play? Do I want to throw some of my shooting units on this into my list? Yes. The answer to your questions, my friends, are yes. It's about the balance. How much, where is it going, and what's the rest of your list still looking like? Those are all always going to be factors. But if you can play these units, yes. Now, you can see he didn't start adding too many buggies or start going into bikes as well. Didn't become a speed wah, right? Sadly, didn't become a speed wah. But
he still has speed.
Yeah, but he still had speed, and he mixed what we already know are very, very consistent units in Storm Boys, Squighog Boys, and what characters? The Mazrog character and such.
Mazrog and Warboss.
Yeah, well, Mazrog Warboss. The characters that we've already, and Knobs, what I call the scalpel unit.
Sorry, I was thinking of Clown's list.
Oh, sorry, you're thinking of Clown's? My bag. I mean, he did bring Mazrog, and he bought the Beast Wasp, right? And I like the Knob on Smasher Squig with Edwappa's Kill Chopper personally, as I like him having dev wounds consistently. Into anti-monsters, like in anti-vehicles as well, because 4s and then a wall has 3. I like that personally, and I don't find myself always bringing the Beast Boss and Squigosaur. I do kind of tend to just go into Maz when I do. That being said, these are units we relied on and we expected. The gun platform that he chose and the utility in the Beast Buggies was not something we expected. So let's look. He didn't have like a crazy matchups, you guys, obviously, because it's an RTT, which is another topic in itself, guys. The reason why we bring up RTTs is because most people, that's what you're going to be playing. That's what you're going to be dealing with. That's what you're going to be doing. And these are to encourage you to get out there, not thinking, oh man, am I going to worry about, am I going to play Eldar Gene Stealers? Maybe. But in reality, in RTTs, there is a certain sense of luck into what you're going to end up playing into. And here you can see he did end up having some matchups that he could handle.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add that RTTs are also less stressful. Like you don't have to spend 2 whole days playing games. You don't have to travel as far. RTTs are more common in between here and there.
And it's really about preps anyways. You can think about it in your head. Even if you're like, oh, well, an RTT doesn't make me feel like I'm an amazing player. It's like, okay, guys, but you can get your practice in there before you go to your GT. So either way, that's why it's kind of fun to talk about and bring it up. Because some of us will just end up playing RTTs in the majority of the years, not, and maybe getting one GT in, right? So before that, do you want to talk about any chat settle? Because we haven't talked about chat settle and leave you guys hanging. Whoa.
Daggers says, really excited to get enhancements on the Death Killer War Trikes. I want to build one, run a bike heavy list with both Death Killer and War Boss on bike for 2 big speed wall charges.
Yes, if anything, try to get more one. I know you Daggers, you're really good at kit bashing. Kit bash another War Boss on bike on, get multiple War Bosses on bikes and knobs on bike units. We've seen that. If what was it, maybe 2 weeks ago or so, somebody brought a very similar list to that, where he brought trucks, knobs on war bikes, and he played the field like that, and he did great. So that's an actual viable list and strong. And now that you know these enhancements are for sure what we're gonna do, you can do that confidently once you kit bash these things together and know it's gonna be relevant for a while.
And he also says, played against Drukhari tonight with the T2 Grots, and they still managed to turn 1 charge with Zadrog, take out an Archon. My truck list was able to cover the entire board by turn 2 and screen.
Yes. I love it. That's a viable way to play. Everybody likes that, and I'm glad you're still using Zod and using him that way and didn't decide I'm just going to run away from a change. You were like, I'm still doing it. People might say rip to it. That doesn't mean you have to, right? We play how we want to play. Sorry, got too worked up. Right.
Yeah, Grots are still a unit. Great unit. They have a lot of utility.
Yep.
Brandon says, now is the time for the kill tank meta to arise.
Yes, the kill tank meta, the time of the big mech, the mega knobs. All right, yeah. our Big Mech, Brandon, we were already bringing back to fruition. You've been bringing that to life already. So I feel your wall energy. Don't worry. We'll get some more Big Mechs growing in our wall.
WAAAGH saying he currently is running 2 buggies in
Oh,
his list.
there you go. That's awesome. WAAAGH. WAAAGH's on it. Just so you guys know. I just want to give him a shout out. Him, Brandon, Daggers, a lot of you guys out there. Even I didn't just call you out. I would call you out all the time when we're on chat. I've been noticing you guys active in chat, putting a list out there, everything. Bruce, all you guys, super fun. It's been helping me get better, and I can see the ideas on people's list developing and growing. And I'm paying attention when you guys are telling me your results and RTTs and everything. So very cool.
And last one, Pos Vibe Merc. Can a 20 mob of boys be led by 2 of the same leader, like 2 war bosses in the 20-man boy unit?
I've never seen it. Did it say that they're excluded on that? I've never seen that as
have not
an
seen a
inclusion.
rule saying you
No,
can't.
I've never seen one saying you can't. So you can
I know
maybe.
with Space Marines, they do clarify you can't have 2 captains in the same unit.
That's a good question. I'll look it up and then bring that back to the answer.
Yeah, we'll get back to you.
But good question. And then is that it for the chats? Don't worry, I'll look that up right now. I don't want to throw an answer on my head and be wrong though. You know.
I can read this list.
Yep. Go ahead and read the list.
All right. So for the first round for Randy, he faced Necrons. This list had 2 Locust Lords, 2 Overlords, 3 Technomancers. A lot of character support here. Then the 2 Warrior Blobs, Canotech Reanimator, 2 units of 3 Scarabs, a unit of Spiders, 2 units of Crypto Thralls, 2 Doomsday Arcs, 2 units of Locust Heavy Destroyers.
Okay. And thinking, is there anything? I mean, he has the typical. Did he have Lich Guard? I don't see the new Lich Guard. He didn't bring any Lich Guard. Here. That wasn't. I would say the most competitive Necrons list I've seen recently. Right, a bit more Scarabs. And let's see, go up. He does have only the 2. I mean, that's common. The 2 bricks of 40 warriors, kind of.
Yeah, he's using all the characters to buff these warrior.
Yeah, how many characters did he have?
He had 5. No.
Yeah. See, as we've seen with these common kind of mid-grade Necron lists sometimes where they go a little overlord with characters that might not need. So yeah, I mean, he did okay, but we can move on to the next list because first matchups kind of tend to be either kind of easy or super difficult.
All right, and then in the middle. Round 2, he faced the World Eaters.
Oh, okay. But I mean, did they have Angron? Of course,
yes.
They have Angron.
Led by Angron.
So typical kind of World Eaters list.
Betrayer,
how many?
Lord on Juggernaut. Master of Execution.
Okay, I'm not really that into the kind of Lord on Juggernaut. I would probably rather, I think Master of Executions would be better in most cases.
A fluffy list.
Again, yep. And see, guys, this is why you bring this up, and this isn't even the downplay or talk down anybody. That's not the point of any of this at all, guys. This is because we're encouraging you to get out there because you don't know exactly how it's gonna go. Have fun, run with what you want to run. WAAAGH is already very similar, like he said, to the list that we're discussing right now, and he's been doing great when he's been playing. So that's the whole point of why we hit these topics, guys, to keep your momentum going. Know that the people like you or thinking like-minded are you are getting success just like you, or you have the right momentum, or while you're hobbying, you're hobbying on something that is decent if you want that in mind. Or if you're wanting to play your way, but you want to add a couple units or abilities that might help you kind of push you into that more winner circle, that's where kind of these ideas and topics come into play too, okay?
Yeah, what makes RTTs fun is you're going to get that mixture of people prepping for the GTs, but you're also going to get people that are just there to have some fun.
Yeah. They're like, I'm just showing up, dude. Honestly, whatever. I wanted to play this. And that's what you should be thinking too. I wanted to play this. Yeah. This is why I'm here. Not because I like always running boys and trucks or, whatever variation you're running that day. Yeah. Even though a lot of people like those because I got 5 trucks. I'm just saying.
Yeah, you got 10-man Berserker, 2 5-man Berserker, Rhino, a Land Raider, and 2 Mauler Fiends. So, not the most competitive, but he's got a theme going here.
Yep.
I'm sure he had a lot of fun at this RTT.
Oh, yeah. I feel like the Orc player was definitely running these dudes over, not going to lie. I'm not going to lie, right? Oh, my goodness.
All right. And then in round 3, Necrons again. This guy ran 2 Hexmark Destroyers, 2 Overlords, 2 Technomancers, the Transcendent Catan, Reanimator, 2 units of scarabs, 2 crypto thralls, 2 doomsday arcs. So very similar list to the previous one, except this one actually does have 2 units of lynch guard.
Okay. So his and he has the tomb blades, which are very helpful and useful. And, okay, so this was definitely a more relevant list of someone that was trying to win and do very well at the event, which is kind of what you can expect on RTT. One game might kind of be a shoe-in for you if you have a refined list and you've been playing a bit. Second one, you might run into the guy who actually ends up winning the event, right? Or you get another kind of good warm-up, and that last game is your real hard one, right? So, yeah. Last RTT I went to, that's kind of what happened to me. Is the guy who ended up winning. I ended up going against second round, and it was a hard matchup. So that just kind of happens, guys. But that's the point of why we go. It's fun. So yeah, good job, a great job to him. And we'll move on to the next list that we wanted to pull up. We're not going to go into too many lists, guys, because like we've said, at the moment, not too many things have been changing. As you guys already know, Beast Snagga boys and Squig Hog boys are excellent. You know the MSU trucks and boys are excellent. You know about the scalpel unit and the knobs and trucks. So yeah, and then but this is Lucas Troller, so we can pull up his list real quick.
Yeah, and he's running a Beast Boss, Captain Badrook,
Weird boy making his shine again, guys. Come on, man. I mean, I know I was kind of slept on the Weird boy, but he's popping up. He's showing up. He's making his appearances, guys. And Warphead. All right, continue. Sorry, I just wanted to give him a shout out. I mean, for just teleporting and I guess trying to headbang people, I guess, if you can get lucky.
Screen his backfield.
Late game, still screening.
Yeah, late game especially. Bringing War Snagga.
Yeah.
And then he's got
Beast Snagga.
3 units of 10 Snagga boys.
Okay.
5 units of boys.
Okay. All right. Going hard on the battle line.
And he's got 4 trucks.
4 trucks.
And he's also got 3
big tracks. Okay, so he increased the transport and the durability of the transport. He said, let's go. He's like, I'm going all in on this. Let me see. Let me pull up the big track real quick again to call him out the difference, because I know it does mortals on the charge.
To run
sorry, you keep going.
Unit 10 flash kits. I already mentioned them earlier. 3 mech guns, each with the tractor cannon. And 3 units of Storm Boys.
Yeah. So for the big track, actually, the big track only T9, and the truck is T10. What? I don't like that. Wondering why he brought that. Let me see its abilities. It does mortal wounds when it gets in engagement range. Let's see. And I guess it can get a cannon. So I guess some shooting potential. Yeah, I mean, I guess maybe that's what he went for. He wanted them to have a little bit of shooting potential. The only difference, like I said, and like they can put mortal wounds when they charge without doing the strat necessarily, or you stack that with the strat. So I can see how he chose to do that instead, right? Because it has a spiked ram ability on the 2+. Okay, so no, I mean, I think the truck. Let me see, truck. Let's see, this has 12. Just to be sure, because I'm not going to misquote here, guys. Because I'm like, what the heck? I know the trucks.
Why you just wouldn't run more trucks?
Well, this has a gun. Trucks are T8, so it's toughness. 1 toughness higher than the truck. That's also, and it has 2 more wounds, so it is more durable.
1 more OC.
Yep. 1 more OC, 2 more wounds, and 1 more toughness. That's exactly why he brought it. So he went for thicker transports for 75 points, I believe that is.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. And I think that's a pretty nice premium. I know most people don't have big tracks, but I know a lot of you guys are out here kit bashing. He pretty much took let's see. He took, not that I'm dismissing anybody's list. He took the clowns, I would say clown posse, $1 billion con farms list. Awesome, good job, guy. And he pretty much took that to the next level by making it more durable transports, right? Would you say to an extent? With guns. And so he took that to the next evolution, but does he have the knobs on this list as well? Is what I was going to say, because that's something we realize he's missing. He doesn't have knobs, and he has flash gits instead. So that was his version of knobs, because that's almost, very similar to amount of points. So you can see he went for like a different twist. He brought more guns. He brought mech guns. Still went for a lot of transports, even more transports than what we've been seeing. So he brought his own. See, this is what I mean, guys. Use what you want. Use what you got, because we haven't been seeing mech guns coming around too much. He's still stuck in the obvious Storm Boys. Does he have Gretchen? Sorry, I want to see him. Does he have Gretchen? Did he have Gretchen?
Gretchen.
Oh wow, no, Gretchen not making an appearance on the list. All right, let's just pull that up. Okay, Gretchen not making, but when you have that many boys and then battle line in general, I can see why you don't bring them, right?
Yeah, it's 8 battle line units for the 7 trucks.
Yeah, for sure. So that's pretty awesome. Yeah. So, and I wanted to be clear, guys, when I say any stats, because I've learned that the more I've been going on here, I'm not just gonna pull things and say things that I'm not 1,000,000,000% sure. I'd rather just read the stats right off the top of my head because once you say it in the internet, it's on there forever, and then you got to deal with the consequences of the community being like, "Hey, man, you misspoke there." I'm like, "I'm sorry, you're right." Be more organized. I have to be more responsible with what I say. So let's look at his matchups.
All right, in the first round, he faced 1,000 Suns.
There we go. Okay, 1,000 Suns have been shown to do pretty well into Orks. Orks can definitely beat them, but overall, they're over good in the meta overall. 1,000 Suns are good, and into Orks, they've been doing well on the casual level. So right away, he went into the fire.
Yeah, with 1,000 Suns,
the warp
most
fire.
of the time is going to come down to the general.
The warp fire. Sorry, I just want to say
But
that.
yeah, they do have some potent shooting and mortal wound output.
Yeah, you know, I just want to
This is your traditional architect of Armin, Exalted Sorcerer, Magnus, Sorcerer and Terminator armor. 2 10-man rubrics with flamers, very common pick. Ooh, this guy's running 2 Vortex Beast.
Okay, this is a legit little
10-man Terminator unit and 2 3-man Flamer units.
Wow. So he went out. He was going against a pretty. Okay, you know, what do you think about this? Oh, sorry, I should not speak for you because you know a little better about maybe the next.
It's definitely a lot of shooting. You got some mortal wound character sniping potential here with the Vortex Beast.
Okay.
Yeah, very
big rubric marine bricks, huh?
Flamers.
Okay. It's 10-man units. I mean, that's kind of what they're going with now. Not using any, because we've seen the 4-man 5-man units before, but he just went for
so they're trying to discourage you from charging with all this volume.
Yeah, in the Overwatch. Okay. And remember, guys, Overwatch is once per turn, not once per phase. Okay, so don't let people overwatch you in movement and then in charging too, guys. Okay, just wanted to make that clear because some people, I've been playing, the more I'm playing games, the more I realize people aren't very clear about that and they try to do it all the time. So just want to say that, throw that in the ether. Don't let my Orc fans be getting hit with Overwatch more than they need to.
In the second round, he faced Orks.
Oh, the Orc on Orc, greenskin on greenskin matchup. That's chaotic. What's chat say, though, real quick, before we move on again? Because we know right before we get into a greenskin on greenskin matchup, this isn't going to be anything new. I'm sorry, I don't want to get left behind.
I'm going to say we got to be ready to tackle Necrons. Catan Shards just became auto take.
See, there we go. Brandon was already on it, too. That's why we brought that up in it. They're going to be bringing those transcendent Catans, as like you said, they're going to be auto take at least one with the dirt, if not 2.
We've already seen them starting to creep up in tournaments, and now with these nerfs to the top tier armies, I think we're going to see a lot of Necrons coming up.
They're just very common, kind of a little obvious on how you want to play them, and you know, an army that keeps coming back and getting free points is just powerful in itself. So
protocols on them.
Yep. We mentioned that, I believe, when we were talking about all the FAQs. Thank you, Brandon.
Cal 2931.
Big Mac.
He played against World Eaters tonight. Won, by the way.
There you go.
Masters of Possessions. He has with precision for some mortals, but he survived with 1. Have to respect the Master of Possessions.
Oh, there we go. Then,
yeah,
and that's what we've been talking about with where Gaz is. Not that I'm saying don't bring him or not. This is something that I want to see happens as the meta keeps moving along. Now that he can't be in trucks, is he going to keep making appearances? As his weakness is the devastating wounds that there are throughout the game, right? All the mortals that there are everywhere. You can be all tanky and tough like that, but mortals, if you don't have that feel no pain, really handle you. So yeah, we'll see how that continues to roll out, guys, overall competitively. And the mortal wounds are his bane right now.
And daggers. Love to the weird boy. Heard a strat to take a solo weird boy and when GSC die and create a blip, just to jump the blip onto the blip to cancel them respawning that turn.
Yep, boom. That's another one. I believe Daggers brought that up in Discord too, so thanks for bringing that up, Daggers. Then there might be a reason why somebody might have thought of it, right? Bringing his little appearances in, right? That ability to go late game, trying to score with him on his own, trying to hide him, not happening. So great call out for exactly why the weird boy is most likely being used.
Yeah, and Battle G Nerd following up with the Weird Boy. Might be good for the jumping behind Necrons and sniping their important characters and killing reanimators since Ed Banger has precision.
Yes. As for how reliable that is, let me read it again because I'm like, because it is a possibility, but I don't remember how super powerful that ability is. I know it gets stronger when there's more guys near him. As Ed, we'll just start right now with what Ed Banger starts out with, guys, but it does get more stronger. So it's 24 inches. Excuse me. No, his ability when you read it. Yeah, when it right there. So so Ed Banger, guys, precision psychic, one shot, 24 inches, hits on 4s, strength 6, -3, rare, damage 2. Okay, but his ability for WAAAGH energy is while this model's leading unit, add 1 to the strength and damage characteristic of this model's Ed Banger ability for every 5 models in that unit, rounding down. While that unit contains 10 or more, that weapon has the hazardous ability. Okay, so it goes up by 2 strength and 2 damage for a 10-man unit. And so the idea is you jump somewhere, you're hidden maybe, or you jump right next to them and they don't kill you with Overwatch for some reason, and you can get a shot off all that, and even then you can still hurt them. But it is one shot, and that's why I said for 3. I don't think, unless I'm missing something, unless you go to a 20-man unit, you're not gonna kill a character most likely, right? Unless you're like shooting a pain boy, and then he fails his fail no pains because he has 3 wounds, or I believe so. But yeah, it's still a call out though, because that is something people have been trying to use it for, because it's odd, potential that we have to hurt people. But in reality, I think his secondary play and taking over the field is what most people are bringing it for. But it is a good shout out to give.
Yeah, Vibe Merc says if you take 2 weird boys with 20 boys, get 2 tries with the Ed Banger.
That's such an orc way to think, If I just keep doing more of it, yes. And the answer is yes. So yeah, keep doing that. I love it because I've been like listening to audible books about orcs and stuff, and the one I just listened to, War Boss, that happens. He literally ad bangs. So I'm not gonna ruin it, but there's some ad banging going on in that. Okay, so yeah, that's a very orky way to think. If I do it more and I bring more, I bring more.
All right, Cal says the 2 Necrons games I've played that felt hard to do since they just sat all bunched up for reanimation protocols.
Yeah, that's kind of what's going on with them. If you don't bring enough stuff and get the right secondaries games in, and kill some of their scoring potential, or actually somehow bring down their Lich Guard blobs, like you want to try to kill their Tomb Blades if you can. If you get stuck kind of in these warrior blobs, right, where they just keep reanimating, and then your boys units and stuff slowly start to fall apart, that's a problem too. So yes, and the numbers have shown that orcs, overall, it's a little bit of one of our tougher matchups. So don't worry, you're dealing with what we all have to deal with, and there are ways to overcome it, and so don't be too discouraged, as orcs overall have a lot of answers for certain armies. What happened here though? Was there another one? Sorry, I was right there.
Man says, I'm so happy they fixed our boy on the war trike. Now to figure out if I want to give him the feel no pain or the extra 2-inch movement.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of at too, right? Which one do I want to give him? The way I see it is like once you make the charge and the person punches you back, now that you've already moved there, gotten to combat, made the charge, in my opinion, I want to stay alive to get the enemies to commit more into me, and me not just get their charge, hit you, maybe you survive a little bit, and then somehow luckily kill me, right? And then also the precision, the devastating wounds capability, having like that built-in defense for that makes me slightly favor, and it's a little cheaper, towards the feel no pain on someone like that, as you're already pretty dang fast. Okay, so but 2 inches is never bad, because that's essentially +2 to your charge, right? So, but it's 25 points too. Really, what else is on your list? Sometimes I only have 15 points.
Yeah. Dagger says you could take the death killer with cunning but brutal, shoot, charge, survive, then fall back and shoot again, then recharge something that could be great. What do you guys think? I think, like you mentioned,
I'm not sure. How are you going to shoot?
You need to
you're going to shoot
that first round of combat.
Am I missing something? As him being able to fall back and shoot? Because I know. Because the cunning, is it shoot or charge? I thought it was shoot or charge. Is it shoot and charge? Did he say shoot and charge or shoot or charge? I want to make sure I'm not misquoting.
Yeah, no,
what did he say?
Good question. He said shoot, comma charge, comma survive, then fall back, shoot. Oh, and shoot again. No, and recharge. Yeah, so he said both. Can you do both?
Until this eligible to declare a charge on a shirt in which
You
it's
can do both.
Yep. It can do both, yeah. So that's another one. See, so that's what I'm saying, the 15 points. Even then, that's another good one too. I wonder though of the survivability of that unit, right? As ideally you think it's pretty good, right? But what unit are you really running in there with him? Is that unit actually killing what it's running into? And is it surviving the clapback? That's when I start to think, am I gonna take Super Cyborg Body or Kudable Kunnin? Because in most cases, they're gonna kill me because I'm the first thing to the line, or I'm a very big base, or I'm getting right in there. So whatever I hit might end up surviving, since I don't hit super reliably hard with bikers, and I'm limited to the amount of knobs I can take. The War Boss, though on Shrike, doesn't hit necessarily super hard, so I can't reliably kill everything that I'm going to charge into. So there's a slight punchback you might get from a couple remaining models. Then you're going to get the enemy to shoot you that you're already right there, and you're going to get countercharged. So would your army would whatever unit he's attached to survive all that? That goes into the idea, am I bringing brutal but cunning? Or am I more likely to need this extra survivability? That's why I personally lean into the Super Cyborg Body, because I want them, if they're going to kill me, commit more into me, or come charge me and let me fight you, possibly by staying alive even more. So yeah, that's my answer to that. It sounds good. It's just, can you actually survive long enough to get to utilize that?
We're caught up with chats.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the chats. Those are all very good and poignant points, and I appreciate you. Get my mind flowing. Also, we talked about with the boys ability. David, if you want to read the ability. Sorry, I was in a burp. Sorry, not the word. The bodyguard's ability. Sorry, hiccup, guys. Need water.
So for the bodyguard ability, if this unit has a starting strength of 20, you can attach up to 2 leader units in it instead of 1, but only if one of those is a war boss model. If you do, and that unit is destroyed, the leader unit attached becomes a separate unit with the original starting strength. So
So it says one of them has to be a war boss, but it doesn't clarify if both can be war bosses. How does it clarify it for Space Marines? Does it say only one can? Like, is it more clear? Because yeah, that doesn't directly say. So that is an open-ended question, right? So yeah, that's another thing. I mean, I didn't directly answer that. I just wanted to read where I kind of was at with that, because that's what the wording says, and I think that's going to be up for interpretation when people say like, "Oh, I don't think you can bring 2," but it says you do need to bring at least 1. So that's something to keep in mind. One of them does have to be a war boss, which is very important. What was which is this one?
Ork on Ork, round 2 from the Lucas Troller.
Yeah. So we have the Beast Boss with the enhancement brutal but cunning. I love that. I'm a fan of that, and so is our Big Mac Brandon. Appreciate you. Captain Badrook, is we've been seeing more Captain Badrooks, more flash kits. And this was a flash kit on flash kit combat, huh, David? Here?
Yes.
We have the Mech giving his little shine once in a while. Mazrog, everybody loves the Mazrog. There we go, the Nalma Smash Squid with Edwap's Kill Chopper. And then Warmoth with Super Cyborg Body. I'm actually not against that, as it makes him much harder to precision out of the unit.
Well, now that I'm remembering, for Space Marines, it doesn't exactly say you can't have 2 captains, but it does clarify, like on Lieutenant, that it can be added to a unit that already has a leader. So kind of implying that you can only put one leader unit into a unit that's leading, and only the lieutenant can bypass that by being the second leader to that unit.
Okay.
So the fact that the boys say you can add 2 leaders doesn't really have any stipulation against having 2 war bosses. I don't see why not.
Yeah, hypothetically, right? It's one of those things that you didn't say it, so we'll see. And as we'll see to that, here he brought Beast Snagga Boys. David, you can take over your gun. Sorry.
Yeah, 2 units of 10-man Beast Snagga Boys, 3 units of boys, 3 trucks, the flash kits that you mentioned earlier, Gretchen, unit of commandos, 10-man knob unit, 1 3-man squig hog.
I'm getting all pumped up for no reason here. I'm sorry, guys. It always happens.
So he's almost matching him for 10, except for the other guy has a lot more transport.
And the squig hog boy, yeah, the squig hog boys, you're getting the mortals from all those like I said, that built-in mortal wound potential from those Megatrax. low key, and then you split that on top of what is their melee potential? Because I don't think they have as easy access with tank shock, because the difference is the truck has the oh my god, the big wreck exactly has the wrecking ball, and that's strength 10, and the other one does. I don't believe it does. So yeah, I think it only has its melee. But either way, you can still into some like infantry units do more mortal wound potential because it's at least strength 6 from its tracks and everything like that. I'm talking about the big mega track. This guy brought the scalpel. He brought some commandos. Only one unit of Squig Hog boys. I don't know. Maybe he was just trying to find something to fill in, right? This list doesn't look as refined as the other one, in my opinion. The other one has like a throughout theme to it. It has all its trucks, its transport that it's trying to build in. It has the mortal wound potential passively with it. It has all the board control. And then this one was just kind of like, and it has the flash kits as well. You could see it doesn't even have the knobs in the other list. But this one did. It tried to do a little bit of everything and just ended up having a lot of expensive units and not having as much board control. So I could see it kind of losing out board control to our tournament placer. Oh, David, here if you want to do this because I messed it up. Sorry, there you go. Yeah, if you want to go to the original list.
The guy that we're covering?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the...
There we go. All right, cool. No. Up. There we go. We were looking at what was it, Edwin Cho? Yeah, yeah, I want to look at the actual winner.
Oh.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Is that the actual winner? I don't think so. Okay, but yeah, that's the point. We were just talking about as a whole. Sorry, we got mashed up with these lists when we talking about too many topics, guys. Sorry, but the point was orc shooting seems to be coming back as a relevant topic and a relevant staple in a lot of these lists that are doing good as a whole. So don't be afraid of doing that. I know you guys love seeing the flash kids getting their shine, getting their play, getting their love. But there we go. See, he had Wartsnagger. That was the difference. Yeah, there we go. And yeah, it's the weird boy. The other list was just target matchup. So it's okay. We had tabs open and we kind of pulled up the wrong one, but this is what actually was going on with this. So he had the track jets. He had the weird boy for the utility for more board control. So I could see how he kind of pulled out that win in the mirror matchup, and I could see it kind of almost reliably. So yeah. Okay. And what was his final matchup? Was it Necrons again, I think?
No, Thousand Suns.
Ooh, damn, okay, let's get some games. Getting some games in.
Yeah, Magnus the Red. You're going to find them on almost every Thousand Suns list. Demon Prince, Terminator Armor, 10-man Flamer, Rubric Unit, 2 10-man Terminator units, Cultists, and some Zangor Line for utility.
Okay. So overall, yeah, he did good, and we just wanted to end it on that. Not go more into lists, but guys, so let's kind of as we're coming to a close here because we're trying to stick it within more reasonable time on these weekdays, and sometimes I go on tangents and go on for too long, and then I'm here for 3 hours. We want to give you something that's concise, some information on these Wednesday streams. That way, it makes more sense. So let's go over some kind of like thoughts, general ideas that's been coming up. If there's anything in chat we want to cover before I start ranting. Because I don't want to start ranting over
my man says another question off that. Can you break the rule of 3 with that ability? Talking about plugging characters in the units. Could you technically take 6 20-mans of orcs and have 6 war bosses? I'm sure that's no, but it doesn't say so. LOL.
no, because he still has his own data sheet, and what happens is when you do deployment, you add him to the unit. So you're not bypassing it at any point, because when you're building your list, you already have that stipulation. So no, but it's still a fun idea, dude. I mean, if you weren't thinking like that, you wouldn't be a proper greenskin. So go ahead and keep asking me those questions. I don't care.
And Battle Junior, what do you think of the Death Dread with 4 rocket launches and a mech boy for the +1 hit for the laughs?
Okay, for the laughs, yes. For the utility, so you're paying for the mech boy, and then you're paying for the Death Dread. The Death Dread's 150 points, and you're getting the 4 rockets, or you could pay for 3 kilocans, get the 3 rockets. They're already innately hitting in 4s. You're not paying for the extra mech boy, right? And then also the fact that there's multiple models makes it so the anti-tank fire that comes in isn't as efficient against the unit, because if he rolls these last cannons, he can take that one shot, that whole dread out, compared to just killing possibly 1 kilocan, and then you still have 2 left over throughout the game, right? So I think the kilocans are a little bit more of what you would go for if you want the rockets, and then you're not paying for the extra mech on top of that. But if it's for the lulls and you just want to do it because you want the bigger chassis and you want it to be in one spot and give him the mech for more, go ahead. Yeah, because he's your draw line of sights. Yes, go ahead and do it. But yeah, that's what I would say. You're comparing that directly pretty much to the killicans at that point because they're the same price tag. And you're not paying for the mech.
All right, the Sav Master saying, hello, everyone. How goes it?
Hello, Save Master. Is it Save Master or Save Master? Did I mess this up again?
It's just SAV. So
no, this is our friend. He's been on this stream several times and I always mess this up. I'm very sorry, guys. I'm like I said, I'm illiterate. Okay, but that's because I'm an orc, so I'm not ashamed of it. Any more? I think there's more.
Yeah, WAAAGH says, I love the flash kits, but 10-man, bad ruck, mech, and a truck is too much of an investment for me.
That's kind of where I end up too, right? It's like, man, where am I here when it because I look at it and I'm like, man, this can really go. But then when I roll it out on hypotheticals, it's almost like, man, with the cover, I really want to do lethals. It's almost like you really want Captain Badruck's capabilities on the unit to get its potential. Otherwise, while it's in a truck and running around with a mech, you're not really still getting its potential. Yeah, you see in these lists, dude, there's a lot of WAAAGH, there's a lot of efficiency in some of these lists, and they're getting success. So I'm definitely not talking people down of doing it, you guys. It's all of our preference because I'm with you on WAAAGH on that. But there's some people that we've been seeing that have been doing excellent, and they bring the flash kits. So that's us to each our own, and that's why our wall is a conglomeration of clans. We all have our preferences on how we want to crump, split heads, crump, everything like that. And that's kind of why we here come together, because we'll kind of get ideas and influence each other a little bit, right? See, let me see one right there. And then was there any more chat? Because I was ranting.
Last one, Fat Man. Whoa. That's pretty much it.
Whoa. Okay. Cool. I was like, cool. That makes sense. And and that was a good one because I've had that idea too, and if didn't mention it. Okay, cool. Okay, guys. So I wasn't just cover the chats before I start ranting a little bit. Now here come some closing thoughts, right? So some ideas here are that what we've seen throughout the weeks covering these meta topics and such is that orcs have a couple ways that they're trying to play, right? If I have to put them into like a skeletal frame, right? There's the MSU style one here. There's the beast snagga boy with the squig style, right? And then there's the almost like a stat check where you got the gargantuan squigoths appearing, you got the squigoths appearing. Maybe you see the spamming of killicans and gas. Maybe you see the kill tanks and the mega knobs. That's another variation of the orcs, right? So you have our stat checks where you may be going into the squig hog boys a little bit there too, where you're going into +1 to wound on something big like the gargantuan squigoth and having all these kill tanks and your mega knobs, or you're going into a different kind of like I'm trying to punch you and take over the board with beast snagga boys and then trucks. Sometimes you'll see a kill rig or a hunter rig killer there too. Not as prolific. Sorry, I'm not saying the word correctly. Sorry, illiterate. But you're not seeing it as often. Kill rigs being brought. Yet you're still being in the beast snagga boys. That's the other way. And then MSU is the other most common way we're seeing with the trucks and the storm boys. So these are the three, we'll say, kind of ways that we're seeing come up the most. Sadly, speed wasn't kind of making an appearance as often, but we're kind of showing bikes are coming around with the war boss on bike. Buggies are making appearances there as well. So don't be scared to plug those things in, right? And we don't have direct shooting armies for orcs yet, but we're seeing more shooting units appearing. I know personally, I have kind of been won over a little bit on Ludas. I don't know about how many yet. I don't know about how often yet, but I'm being won over. Now, for the MSU style, we've seen that these MSU styles manage to be successful without too much fire support, right? Not too many guns all the time. Sometimes they just go a bunch of trucks and do their thing. Those you'll see here and there, but they don't really always work it into their list, and they still have success. What they do kind of tend to have is like a scalpel unit, what I call a scalpel unit, which tends to be the knobs and the war boss. But they have direct problems with enemies that can either meet them on the MSU level and still kill them, like Eldar sometimes, or they run into armies that are just too durable for them, like knights and we haven't seen it yet, but I would assume some Tyranid lists are kind of like that too in my experience, where they start to kind of kill you and then you have to hope that you're kind of winning on the points, and those are done to direct counters, or the knights just straight up kill you, right? Kind of hard to deal with that when you're playing MSU and don't have all the tools to deal with everything that's tough. So that's one thing we've seen. Beast snagga boys, we've seen them highly viable. You're pretty much overloading the enemy with the squigs durability, the feel no pains, still mixing a little bit of the MSU style by putting storm boys in your units and putting trucks with beast snagga boys in there, sticking the beast boss on foot in there for those dev wounds, as we like the dev wounds, and he gets them whenever he charges. So that's another thing we've been seeing. So good job on there, guys. As for what are something that's been developing with that, with the Squig Hog units, the gun lines being added to that, or the gun support, is what we're seeing. That's kind of you. As for the list, David's been going over slowly here, up and down. This is exactly what we're talking about. The beast, in my opinion, the beast snagger boys kind of has been the most punching up, doing well into kind of the tournament meta armies. So I really like how the beast snagger squid lists are doing, and these lists where they're adding gun lines into it is even more awesome. And I still see the scalpel unit making so many appearances. You know, a lot of people have called out what's really good, and that's one thing that I know identified right away off the bat that I really liked in the index, and it's been proving itself. I knew it was going to be a staple throughout the tournament lists and meta, and it definitely is on almost every single list now. So yeah,
the AP2 is real good.
And the volume. And the volume, that's what you want. And if they will get to the threshold of strength 10.
With that war boss,
yep.
-1 wound, extra durability.
Right there. Good find death unit. You feel like you get your return there. So that's another thing we've seen. And shout out to Brandon's Kill Tanks. I see you, don't worry. I wanted to say that again because most people don't have them, but I love them. And the Gargantuan Squiggoth, like I said, that's a part of those stat check army guys, right? To swing on to my next idea on that is, now let's find out how often we see Gaz, right? Now that we have these new FAQs out there, is he still going to be in some of these stat check armies, what I call stat check armies? And if so, will he be in battle wagons? Are battle wagons suddenly going to make an appearance now that he can't go home, or are they both just kind of getting eliminated overall from all these games? So
yeah, that's a high price tag to have the battle wagon and Gaz. I'm not sure if we'll see that, but I'm sure people will try.
Yeah, exactly. And also, he said, people will try. Yeah, exactly how he said. And and the flash kits, that's another thing, is like, people are like, I really want to use these flash kits, but they're using them just in trucks. Like, a goofy idea that I was telling David, and he told me not to do, but I mean, can we put more shooting stuff in like a battle wagon and just shoot completely down a lane and just not care? No, I'm not going to talk about it. I'm embarrassed. Let's go to chats right here, but I want to shoot some stuff a little too, guys. Don't worry. And speed, you know?
WAAAGH says, I'm a channel knob, so I'm a firm believer in the 2x10 man knobs. False in trucks.
Yeah. Oh, going for all the knobs and trucks. Yes, that's going to be, I mean, what can you say, right? You're doing it. Do it some more. I know that the clown guy, he was bringing up how he was not sure about them, yet at the same time he was saying how they solved a lot of problems for him, right? But that's how I feel about Mazrog almost, right? Is I've just been kind of unlucky with my Mazrog experiences so far, so that's where my bias comes into play. But that's how I feel, like how he mentioned that with the knob. So I'm not saying anything, guys, that we do it exactly how I say or what we say. I'm never trying to prove myself to you guys. I'm just delivering the info of how we all think. I already proved myself because I'm a greenskin, and that's enough. So what we're really doing here, like I said, is a part of this great wall is everybody has our clan. Some of you are Death Skulls, some of you are Free Buddhas, some of you are Blood Axes. Sorry, I was not going to say it, but honestly, I'm a little bit of a Blood Axe. Some of you guys are into Goths, right? And some of you are Evil Sons. But the point is, a WAAAGH is a conglomeration of all these clans and all of our ideas. And that's why I don't really give too much merit to like one person saying this is how you play Orks, or this is what's best and most viable. It's more about overall what's kind of gathering as the information as community, and that's what we're kind of reflecting here, right?
Yeah. And I'm not sure if you've been talking to WAAAGH, but
yes, I talked to WAAAGH. And
greenskins think alike. He says, also, I want to try the 10 flash kits plus
wait, what the heck?
10 Ludas and a mech. And
wait, no, I didn't. Okay, I've been talking to WAAAGH on Discord. I really have. Not like personally. We all talk. I talk to a lot of the gits in there because we all been talking about a bunch of different ideas. But that's hilarious, WAAAGH, because I was literally walking around at work today, and I looked over at David, and I was like, all right, hear me out. What if I run a battle wagon with looters and flash gits? What if I do it? Like, and he's like, dude, that's a lot of points. And I'm like, it's actually 640. All right. And he's like, that's stupid. And I'm like, I get it, but can I? Right. And I get why you're saying it. We're not going to argue this point. Maybe we can on Discord, but that's hilarious that we're both kind of thinking like that. And so what do you say?
He says, I'm in your head.
You're in my head, or am I in your head? Or are we in each other's head? Because that's how the greenskins work, right? We're just hearing it's Gork and Mork like, put them in the battle wagon. Whoa, put them in the battle wagon with the mech. Whoa! That's what's happening right now, right? It's just at the same time on the same day, right during the stream. So that's freaking hilarious. I'm trying not to laugh even harder. So thank you, Wad. There, that was a good
You guys
chuckle.
are sharing the same
That was
context
not
there.
planned, guys. I swear, it was so funny. He even says that. I'm still laughing internally.
And Dagger's reminding us that this weekend is WAAAGH, Orc only tournament. Can't wait to go stomping with my stompa. Whoa.
You know what? Put that in the channel chat, and then even talk to me directly for some personal comments. I think it's about time Dagger gets his own little Friday segment. If it's either probably next weekend, because you're gonna have this weekend, but next Friday we can actually hit that up, because I think that'd be fun for people to talk about. Orc, guys, for anybody who's on WAAAGH is pretty much just orcs all beat each other up. Okay, just easy, right? It's a mob.
That's
It's
awesome.
it's a
No
pit.
other faction has
Yeah,
that.
there you go. That's what it is. Okay, so we'll give Dagger a shout out. He has beautiful models too, so we'll see him on the table since we've shown him. If you guys haven't seen this before, on Fridays sometimes we'll show hobby progress. We'll show a meme. So we get the community involved on Fridays after we talk about the topics, and we go into like just general chats and topics, guys. So it's not always just meta talk. We're just talking about everything as a whole, because I like everything, right? Encourage us as your whole community, go out there and get some more players, guys, because as a whole, orcs aren't getting that much players out there. Come on, guys. I mean, people are saying that. We got Olistic Tactics out here saying, well, overall for the player plays being small, there's not a lot of us out there. And he's a green skin. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, guys. Got me pumped. I'm like, you know what? And I text Chris Tech, my little text. The Chris Tech, we got to get RTT going up in here, man. I'm tired of hearing people talking about orcs not making their stomping grounds. So we got the stomping grounds. Sorry,
Yeah,
I'm ranting.
Orcs do have some advantages in the meta right now with just the board control, the OC. Also, they do have some good play into the A tier armies. It's just right now with how the meta is shaping out, everyone's spamming this S tier armies, and those are the armies that are really providing problems for the orcs, for everyone, really.
Yeah, for sure. And we're at a place, guys, where I really like where we're at. I know people are a little down in the dumps because, oh, I can't shoot and I can't do these things. Hey, if anything, be happy about that, because if we're sitting at mid tier without the direct support that you want for your certain type of wall, when you do get the support, there's a chance that it could push you up into like a low A tier or something, and you won't have to receive a nerf back, because you'll still end up in kind of a healthy territory, but with a good strength, with just a little bit of support directly. So I feel like as the orcs are right now is like a skeleton index, because we don't have all these other detachments, right? This could evolve into like very cool little diverse utilities with just a little bit of support here and there for each of our models, since we're all considering somewhere like average, slightly above average, you know what I mean? And I think that's actually really good for the community. So guys, I think we should be extra happy as orc players. I think this is a really healthy place to be. People don't feel bad playing us. We don't feel bad going to tournaments. And then if people do murk us, it's kind of just with corny stuff. So we still definitely don't feel bad. And we never lose. So ha!
Artemis Steve, here, guys.
Oh, there he goes. There's Artemis. What's up?
Whoa. Joel Atkins.
Joel, there he is.
Whoa. Missed y'all last week. Been working late, but here tonight.
There you are, you green skin. All right, so I've been doing that a lot, right?
Wade appreciates your impression of Osbex.
My bad, dude. I love Osbex Tactics. No burn on that guy. Osbex, I'm sorry. He's I don't know, he's more like a Necron low key or something, dude. There's a little sitting there like an Adamec. I just imagine him plugged in with lenses on, just going hard every day, and then GW whispering and like on a comms in his ear. Like, dude, how are you so fast? The video comes out from the community post, and then you'll see like a Facebook group talking about it, and then all of a sudden, Osbex Tactics covering it in like 20 minutes. I'm like, dude, dang, man, you made that PowerPoint so fast.
Yeah, he's PowerPoint big.
Yeah, goodness, dude. I'm over here writing notes on handstill. Like, oh man, I'm definitely an orc. All right.
All right, Battle G Nerd, are 5 knobs with the War Boss a decent scalpel unit, or is that too small?
So a lot of these questions are like, this is where I don't want to say like a general yes or no. This is one of those things where you think about your meta. You're not countering people, right? You're just developing. You're just adjusting to your meta, which is very common for competitive players, guys. The most competitive players here that in my area all know about each other, right? You know what they're bringing, and you know like what you might want to go into. So really that comes down to you, right? As for one example I have, right? I don't hate knobs with big choppas, right? In small units without the war boss, because I like the ability to actually hit on threes with something that can still get up to a good strength that's still damage too, right? So if you're going into a meta where people don't have great armor saves and they're just running on invulns, like 4-up invulns or whatever, and you just want to get more accurate hits, and maybe you want to have a smaller profile because you want to stay on a 5-man unit to be small, right? That could be the play. I also think the reason why 5-mans might not be the play is because, like I said, you don't get as good utility in fighting in death. right? And then they don't really what their problem. The whole point of them is the volume of attacks they get, right? That's problem solving for you. Is sometimes the mega knobs don't get enough attacks, and that's why you need something that has high attacks, high strength, and the AP. Because the Squig Boys have volume, lack the AP. Mega knobs have AP, lack the volume. Knobs are right there in the middle, and so they generally just work a lot against a lot of units. Not everything, but they generally work. That's why I call them the scalpel unit, in my opinion. What I've deemed them. So yeah, hopefully I kind of answered your question. That's where I'm at with it there.
WAAAGH says he votes for volume for knobs.
There you go.
2x10, 5 claws, 5 big choppas.
Yeah, see, and he likes big choppas too. Him and I spoke about that too. I can see that because like I've gone into some matchups where people are -1 to hit, and it doesn't feel good when your knobs are back to hitting on 4s or whatever, right? Volume and accuracy sometimes matters a lot.
And Josh is asking, so Gaz isn't a monster. Does he get the lone operative, but it's still not clear how to transport him? No reason to field him.
No, he doesn't get lone operative. He's not a monster. He's infantry. As for transporting, right? This is my opinion. It's still up for interpretation for some people. But Gaz, I do believe he could be transported in a battle wagon with 2 mega knobs. And I think that's intended, right? Of course, I was wrong about Gratz. That's fine. But for this, I do believe I'm correct because, as the wording states, it's the Gaz Maz Uruthraka. And when you look at the unit, as in the wording for the baglands, what it transports, Mag Uruthraka takes up 18 slots. When you look up Gaz as where he is in the data sheet, that's his whole data sheet includes Makari. Makari is almost like, you know, an ammo runt or, you know, a side little, he's more like a Titan or a war gear option almost, right? He's not like he is a model, but he's a part of that unit. So we consider Gaz plus Makari is the count of 18. Therefore, you can add 2 mega knobs because each one counts as 2 slots. So you can get that filling out on the battle wagon. So I do believe that's intentional. So I do think there's play. And the reason to field him, why would you field him? Well, he gets the lethal bomb, right? So some people are thinking put him in a battle wagon with the 2 mega knobs, try to get him up to the middle of the field, have the Squig Boys follow him in, maybe your war bikers follow him, get out, and then at some point you pop that lethal Makari bomb, everybody aura, then you got a 12-inch of lethal. That helps a lot for your volume of low strength, relevantly low strength attacks, right? So that's kind of where you would kind of bring him. And like we said, we're going to keep track throughout the weeks of how often Gaz is still being brought. We didn't show you the list that some RTTs did bring Gaz. That's because I didn't want to bring him up since we already know that's people are using them in trucks. So now that's not going to be the case. We get a fresh start these next coming weeks. If we see Gaz, we know he wasn't in a truck. All right. So that's how I feel. We'll see on that guy. So that'll be a developing idea.
WAAAGH says he played guard with 3 big tanks, a 10-man knob unit, killed 1 with exploding 5s and 6s. Gaz 1-shot 1 during 16 mortal on mega knob dev wounds.
Ooh.
And Gaz and Squig Hogs killed the other.
There we go. Dang. Yep. And see, and WAAAGH is having a lot of success, and he's using Gaz, you know? So yeah, guys, it's really just your meta, like what you're going on here. Don't worry. Don't exclude yourself like this is what's good. I think people are using this. Think about what you need, what you have, the rest of your units, and then work to get them in there, right? Because there's with orcs and greenskins right now, with how everything's developing, guys, there is no directly right or wrong answer. There's some units that are less prevalent, that are kind of weak, like what's that buggy that I don't own? The Rucket Truck Squig buggy? And Rucket, no, the other one, I'm having the ring fire guys. The one, Boondocka Snazwagon. Yeah, right. I don't have a Boondocka Snazwagon all painted up right now, but he's kind of not really getting any play at all. There are some units kind of like that, but as a whole, there's a diverse, like maybe 30 to 40% of our index that can be used and figured out, right? So that's pretty awesome.
Joel Atkins with a cool idea. Need to model Makari riding on Gaz's
just holding with the banner like, okay. You like how my watch changed to like almost like a grotty? I don't know how to do it. I just started to screech. All right.
I know, we're caught up. The rest were just chats.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. And I think that was kind of it, right, David? I don't think there was any more topics we had to talk about, guys. I think that was pretty much to wrap up. Right there. Yeah, we're at a good time too. I don't want to rant because some people are like, hey, you guys should just do a podcast. Why are you guys going so long? But which is fine. I mean, we appreciate it. I'll take it as a compliment. But
we'll look into doing a podcast as well down the road. We just got a lot of things that we're trying to present to you guys, and you know, the Great Wall wasn't built in one day.
Yeah, so I'm over here just for you guys to know what I'm getting in. getting my 2K games up so I can start going to RTTs and not just get washed, because I'm trying to play kind of funless, but I don't want to get washed, and I want to be refined because combat has changed, guys, which I really favored, which I favor personally a lot. And the fact that our charges are almost like uncontrollable, where we end up that you have to base certain models that you end up in heroic range of other enemy units and such if you bring kind of big units. These are things that I have to kind of get used to when I'm playing and such. So that's what I'm focusing on. And I've been trying Combat Patrol, as Combat Patrol is easy for new players to get into, and I kind of wanted to get a rep into it, as I always had like a kind of idea of like a like for kill team, but I wasn't willing to learn a whole new gaming system. And this kind of circumnavigates that, where you get to still play 40K and still know the rules of 40K, enjoy the models that you still have from the Combat Patrol. So I've been trying that out. We're kind of going to have something cool related to that directly as a series. You know what I'm saying? Right. So yeah. So give us faith. Thanks for supporting us in the WAAAGH with your energy and being around, because that definitely helps us, encourages us to keep going and coming out with more and better content, not just this, because this is just the beginning of our great wall. But just keep in mind that don't cross a wall, because we knock your teeth out.